Home to the smallest pub in Britain, with a bar that measures just 15 foot by 7 foot, must mean one thing. I'm in Bury St Edmunds. With the clock ticking down to Christmas, I thought it would be a good idea to head over to Suffolk for some winter miles around the 275-mile bikepacking route named the Wolf Way.
Well, quite possibly the last route I'm going to take on for the year. It's nearly Christmas, but I thought I'd try and squeeze one more in. And today we're taking on the Wolf Way, the Winter Wolf Way actually, because there is a summer version of this which is a little bit shorter that goes over on the ferry. That ferry's not running, so I'm going to be taking on a slightly longer route. Don't come to this part of the country that often. It's quite flat. There is quite a lot of nice-ish trails, but because it is so flat, it can get very wet. And the last week or so, we've had quite a lot of rain around the UK. So I'm just hoping that most of the trails won't be completely waterlogged, but if they are, we can have some fun in the mud. Now I've had to, of course, travel up to Suffolk, and that means it is 1:30. And we do obviously have a very short day. So sunset today, from where I am, is actually just before 4 p.m. Madness.
My journey around Suffolk would start on the quiet country lanes, leaving Bury St Edmunds behind. The quiet country lanes, which there are plenty of around here, with the odd section of bridleway thrown in for good measure. I figured Suffolk would be a good place for a winter adventure because of its relative flatness, and with the first 10 miles, I was already at the highest point of this ride, a whopping 300 feet above sea level. I know. Hills were clearly not going to be an issue, but there were some heavy clouds rolling in, and of course a named storm was on its way to the UK, Storm Bram. I was just hoping, for once, it would pass me by.
Oh, it's not too muddy yet. I mean, it's quite a bit muddy actually. It's quite slippery, quite slidey. I did nearly just fall off back there, but managed to save it. It's already starting to get a bit dark. I am hoping tonight, for sure, is to try and get to camp. Not necessarily before it gets dark, but definitely before it starts raining, which I think is around 6 p.m, so maybe a couple of hours of night riding, but ideally I just really want to make sure I am in camp before it starts pissing it down, because it's meant to rain like all night tonight. So I do want to try and find a good spot and not have to be finding it while it is raining. But probably like 30 minutes until that sun officially sets.
While I made my way through the wet and muddy fields trying to stay upright, the short winter days would close in on me. In the blink of an eye, it was dark. 4 p.m. and already dark. The winter battle is more about finding that motivation more than battling that weather. I try to avoid riding into the dark as much as possible while bikepacking, so I can avoid missing things. But this time of year, that is easier said than done. Home sweet home.
Managed to find camp. Luckily, I've managed to dodge most of the rain. It was a bit of an outrun in it for a little bit, but it hasn't fully chucked it down yet. And it's not looking actually too bad. It's going to rain tonight, but then tomorrow for a few hours. But then it's actually looking not too bad, at least where I am.
And tomorrow I'll be heading over towards Ipswich and like the coast, so that's good. Today I've managed to do just under 40 miles with this route, or this area in particular actually. There is quite a lot of road slogs, so you do get through the miles fairly quick. So I'm not expecting this route to take too long. I'm pretty sure it's going to be one of the easier routes, but a nice one to end the year on, I think. At this time of year, so many hours in the tent. It's currently just after 6, I think, 5:30, and it's not going to get light until around 7 in the morning. So last time I completely forgot my Game Boy thing, and today we're going to be playing some of this bad boy. Does anyone remember this one? Crash Bandicoot. Good morning. It's raining. It's like so typical that it's basically the time now to get out of this tent, and it's just now really started to hammer it down. It is actually meant to stop within the hour, so it doesn't look like I'm going to get too wet today. I might just sort of slowly start getting out in a minute. But I might just hide in here until it actually stops. It is already about 7:45 though, so starting to get light. God, just like basically there's 8 hours of daylight left at this time of the year. But because it is such a flat route, I'm not too concerned about like trying to get miles in, because I mean, it's not going to be too hard to get the miles in anyway. I mean, I shouldn't say it's completely flat. It's a little lumpy, but it's like the highest point was yesterday and it was like 300 feet above sea level, so like whatever. It's not really hills, it's just bumps. But yeah, I might just hide in here for another half an hour or something, just slowly start packing away my stuff, and then before we get on to day 2. It was actually didn't start raining until properly raining until about 4 a.m. But actually it's actually looking pretty good, the weather now, for the next like 4 or 5 days, which yesterday it was a bit like today, tomorrow we're a bit patchy rain and stuff, so hopefully trails will have a bit of time to dry out and it won't be too muddy and I won't fall on my ass. Right, let's try and slowly get out of this tent. Oh, is it stopping? Is it stopping? Probably not. I think today is the perfect time to actually use this good feature of this tent and unpack it while I'm actually inside. It's a bit awkward, but it can be done. This is a really good campsite, really good camp spot, really comfortable, really quiet. Get the inner all packed up, keep that dry, that's the main goal. Good thing about when it rains like this after a muddy start to a trip is that my bike should be fairly clean. Nice. Alright, hopefully this rain will stop soon, but probably got an hour of it to go. The thing is, right, something you got to remember when you camp in the woods, even when it stops raining, it feels like it is still raining because you get the drips of the trees. So hopefully when I leave the little woodlands I'm in, it won't be raining. I don't think so. Oh, right in the eye. Right, let's get this final bit packed up and let's just get going. I think I might have timed that pretty good because it does seem to be pretty much stopped. I mean, it's still raining, but it's not very heavy right now. Nice.
Heading towards Ipswich now. I don't know how much is off-road. I think it's about 20 miles to Ipswich. I think there's a little train, old railway line in a little bit, but should be some fast-ish miles, which is good because it's wet and miserable right now. But one thing, when the rain comes like this, it's not cold at all. It's really not cold. Last trip, obviously, had some beautiful winter mornings, which I'd much rather have than rainy and cloudy. But let's get on day 2. Ugh.
It had been a long night in the tent, but at least it was looking like most of Storm Bram would not be heading my way. All I needed to do was make it through the first couple of hours today, and then it was looking like the weather was going to be on my side. It was a morning of mostly country lanes that were now very much on the wet and soggy side. At least now though, the sun was starting to shine through the clouds. And for the first time today, I'd be able to remove my hood, starting to dry out and get onto them good old railway bike paths.
This is nice. After a pretty grim start this morning, it's turned quite nice. Even a bit of sunshine in the sky over there, and just probably around like 10 miles until I get to Ipswich, and finally off-road a little bit. Although, I mean, the roads aren't really roads. They've been very dirty, very wet, and as you can see, I'm nice and dirty. Probably just gonna try and crack out this next 10 miles pretty quick, and then stop in Ipswich for a bite to eat or something, and then I'm heading out towards the coast. Sun is shining, happy days. I can start to dry out. I also will probably try and dry my tent out a little bit when I can stop, especially if the sun is going to shine for a bit. Nice. 15 miles done, 10 miles to Ipswich.
Right, made it to Ipswich, and that's like 25 miles done. It's starting to dry off now as well, which is nice. And as you can see, I've got the tent drying nicely. It's quite windy since I get to Ipswich, which, you know, to be expected, getting towards the coast now. But as I arrived to Ipswich, I found a good old Lidl. So we got some Lidl pizza and a good old cinnamon bun for lunch. The coastal bit should be a bit more interesting. A little less lanes, and maybe possibly, I doubt it, but it would be nice to try and get like a sea view camp spot. Unlikely, I think, but maybe before I head on to that, into the wind by the looks of it. Pizza.
I myself am drawn to the sea, any body of water really. So this was a part of the adventure I was most looking forward to, heading on into the wooded trails out towards the coastline. Before I'd make it to Felixstowe and the east coast, I would be making my way along the Trimley marshes. Started out as a blank canvas in 1990, mitigate the loss of the internationally important Fagbury mudflats. With the expansion of the port of Felixstowe, a mix of wetland features sculpted out of the former farmland in what became a major civil engineering project. The shallow lagoons and islands provide a variety of habitats throughout the year, and with a few bird hides along here, I was able to stop and watch the birds that call this nature reserve home. If it was a bit later in the day, perhaps a good spot for some, overnight bird watching. But the day was still young, and with the short days, I needed to get past Felixstowe today. So on I went.
I've done like 45 miles today. It's currently 3 p.m, which means about an hour until sunsets. And I'm just heading back towards Felixstowe now. Got a nice cruise along the seafront for a few miles. And what's even better is I've got a tailwind. Today I've been able to do quite a few miles, 45 in total so far. But I'll probably end up doing about 60, and a lot of that is because it has been mostly on the road, but also mostly with a really nice tailwind. I'm going to have a tailwind for the next few miles, but I've got to head back inland and around. Like I said, this is the winter version, no ferry, so I'll probably be doing that in the dark, so I'll have to get past Woodbridge to turn back on myself, because then there should be something like woodlands or something to find somewhere to camp later.
With no ferry this time of year, it did mean I would now have to head back inland and all the way around. And just as I was about to turn back inland and away from the coast, I'm glad I looked back, because the sun had just got low enough to break free of the cloud cover and lit up the sky and the waves below. This would be the last of the sun I would see tonight, as I turned my back and started pedalling back inland towards Woodbridge. And of course, once again, it was a ride into the darkness to find somewhere to sleep tonight.
Right, I have just found my camp spot, just nicely here in the woods. It's been a pretty decent day. It's been pretty fast going. Been on the paved stuff for most of the day, with a little bit of off-road here and there, but for the most part it's been pretty plain sailing. And I managed to do 74 miles. From Woodbridge to where I am now, it honestly felt like the longest possible route that you could have put together just to get to where I am now. I think it's probably just to like avoid some busy road or something, but it just felt like forever. Ended up with 74 miles and decent enough camp spot, although over here there is a big fence. I mean, I guess nobody's coming that way, at least. And it's not too far away from the trail, but I'm not too bothered because it's pretty damn dark here. So once I stop flashing this light around, I'm invisible pretty much. But yeah, good day, 74 miles, about 160-ish to go. I got lucky with some good old reduced meal deal pasta and some mango, but I got unlucky because I bloody lost my bottle. I have no idea what happened to it. Possibly I left it on the bench when I stopped, or possibly it's just fallen off somehow.
I just brought that bottle, so that's really annoying. Always losing things at the moment. But as always, I see bright and early in the morning for day 3-ish, 2.5. Right, let's get in the tent. It's nice and dry. Managed to get it dry earlier. Right, see you in the morning. No! It didn't save! Let's start again then. Good morning, good morning, good morning. And what a lovely mild morning it is. The moon is still up. It's not quite sunrise yet. Got about half an hour. Thought I'd just get up and on my way a little bit earlier this morning. Heading over to Orford this morning, so heading back out towards the coast at the moment on some off-road, which is very nice. Because most of yesterday was kind of on roads and stuff, so hopefully a little bit more of this coastal section be a bit more off-road. I think it is, because there's a few more forests and stuff. But that was a good night. Good little camp spot. Moon was out in full force. Beautiful. Feeling nice and refreshed. 160 miles to go. Let's hope we get a nice sunrise. Let's go.
Rising above the Suffolk coast, Orford Castle has stood watch for more than 800 years. Built in the late 12th century by Henry II, it was less a royal home and more a statement of power, a symbol of control over land, sea and trade. Unlike many stone castles, Orford was built using local mudstone, strong enough to stand but fragile enough to slowly crumble. It has been weathered by centuries of wind, rain and salt air. After more than 13 years of research, conservationists found a way to protect it. Today the castle is coated in a breathable yellow ochre lime render, a finish that allows the stone to survive, not by sealing it away, but by letting it breathe.
I am just coming through Tunstall Forest now, so should have some nice forestry tracks and some single E track foresty stuff, which is nice because it's not really cold, but there's a really cold wind at the moment. Being in some tree cover is very much a welcome relief. But because I lost my bottle yesterday, I have no water, no fluids, so I probably will have to stop off somewhere and find somewhere fairly soon. Let's go and enjoy some tracks. The sky is pretty much clear, there's not a cloud in the sky. It's so nice, so beautiful today. Such a different morning than yesterday morning, where it was all grim. Today, lovely.
Out of the wind and into the mud. Plenty of muddy puddles to navigate this morning. Through the forest trails, and when I was done with the forest trails, I'd be swapping them forest trails for sandy trails, and that sound of sand chewing through the drivetrain. A new chain for Christmas, I think. The pigs chewing beside me though did remind me that I needed to head off route away from the coast and grab some water and some breakfast.
This route really demonstrates how weird England's rights-of-ways are, because this route could be so much more off-road, but you would have to technically use footpaths. A lot of this route is you'll be on a bridleway and then you'll get to a road, like a crossing, and then that bridleway ends, but across that road there's a footpath. But technically you're not allowed to cycle on footpaths, even though it's exactly like the same field or whatever. It just makes no sense. So quite often go from one bridleway, get to a road, then have to cycle all the way around to get back on that bridleway, which is just the other side of another field, which is a footpath, is a right of way, but you can't cycle it for some reason. Just make it make sense. I'm going to try and do at least another 30 miles a day, possibly 40. I'm going to try and do another 70 if possible. And then tomorrow I'll be getting pretty close back to Bury St Edmunds. Not quite, because tomorrow I would quite like to try and get over, I think it's called like the King's Woods or something. This route kind of goes around it, but I think that would be a good little camp spot tomorrow night to aim for. Tonight I have no idea where I'm going to end up camping, because I have a feeling by the time the sun starts setting, I'm going to be going into what's the town called? Lowestoft? I can't remember what it's called, but it's like a built up place, and then I've got to get through all that, and there's a big flooded road. Let me get through this. Bike clean. You can see it all come from that field. I'm glad they opened the gate.
Today had really turned into a great day of cycling. The winter sun, some enjoyable trails, little stops to look out to the sea. All with a tailwind as well. It doesn't get much better than that. And arriving in Dunwich with the medieval friary. It was home to the Franciscan monks who lived simply in what was once a busy and wealthy port town. Over centuries, the North Sea slowly changed everything. Powerful storms, rising tides, and soft cliffs meant Dunwich began to fall into the sea. Streets, homes, churches, even whole neighbourhoods were lost, one collapse at a time. The friary stood close to the edge, watching the land disappear around it. There is a quiet acceptance here that the sea will always win eventually, and that preservation sometimes means knowing when to step back rather than fight it.
A full day cruising along this coastline, but in about 10 miles, probably a bit less, it's going to be the point of the route where I start turning around and heading back inland, which is a shame, not only because of how beautiful this coastline has actually been with that winter sunshine. But this absolutely glorious tailwind. So when I turn back in about 10 miles, I'm going to be battling into that. And it's quite a cold wind, so not going to be as fun as having it on your back. Don't feel as bad when it's on your back. But it is also about 3 p.m, which means less than an hour before that sun sets. I think where I am currently, the sunset is at 15:40. What a blue, it's just been an absolutely stunning day. The only thing is, I have no idea where I'm going to camp today because I've got to get through a few little built up places and then start heading back inland. And I'm hoping I can find like a little woodlands, but I don't know, we'll see. But yeah, an hour left until that sun sets. Hopefully, because it is such a clear sky today, you might get an actual sunset, a nice beautiful sunset. That's what I hope for.
A few miles later, I got what I was hoping for. With not a cloud in the sky today, I'd get to ride into the evening with an amazing sunset as I headed towards Lowestoft, the most easterly town in the UK. I'd arrive here just as the light was fading, riding along the sea wall before it was time to turn back around and start to head back inland. Now into the cold wind and into the dark, muddy fields I would go, once again in search for somewhere to set up the tent tonight.
Good morning, good morning. It is bitterly cold this morning. I mean, it says it's only like 6 degrees, but it feels a hell of a lot colder. It's been a pretty cold wind all night, sort of just rippling against my tent. Not a very strong wind, but it's a very cold wind. I got up in the night to go for a wee, and oh my god, I was like very, very quick to get back in my sleeping bag. But last night I cracked out some miles, managed to do about 81 miles, and I have about 81 to go. So today should be the penultimate day. I managed to find a little camp spot up in that woods, which worked out pretty nicely. Oh, that wind. And today's goal is pretty much to get around towards the a forest called the King's Forest. I'm hoping I'm going to be able to sleep there. I've got a train booked to get home tomorrow, but not until about 1. So I've got to try and give myself a fairly easy day tomorrow so I can get home. But for now, it's time for is it day 3 or 4? I think it's day 4. I don't know what's going on anymore, but let's go see what another day on the Winter Wolf Way has in store for us. It's definitely feeling very wintry. Whew.
Day 4 would start out just how yesterday finished, with a breathtaking sunrise. The off-road trails didn't last too long this morning, and I would be back on the country lanes doing a bit of shadow racing to keep myself warm from that cold headwind.
This morning is just as beautiful as yesterday morning, but definitely colder. Just had a nice little breakfast, good old little bakery. I've done about 15 miles so far this morning, and it's because it's been mostly on the road again. We're back to the lanes. I'm pretty sure for the majority of the remainder of this trip, it's just going to be more of this. Quiet country lanes. Hopefully there's a few little bits of off-road. I think there is towards the end. Good thing about today is because I know where I want to get to. It means I only really have to do around maybe 50, 60 miles a day at most, and then 20, 25 tomorrow morning. So today is the day I should be able to get to camp before it actually gets dark, which will be really nice, because I don't mind a bit of night riding, but when I'm bikepacking, I try my best to get into camp at sunset as it's getting dark and not spend hours pedaling into the night. That is a horrible noise. Thank you. But for now, I'm going to keep heading into this wind, into this cold wind, but there is at least some sun.
Now that I was back on my way to Bury St Edmunds, it did mean that the terrain was starting to get a little bit more lumpy in places, with the odd short climbs here and there. Good for keeping warm though from that wind. While mostly this morning it would remain on the country lanes, I did find some little hidden gems in between from time to time. Bits of single track cutting through the fields.
Oh, I don't mind if I do. It's 1 p.m, I've done 35 miles. Today has been pretty easy going. I want to say like a good 90% of my day has been on the country lanes. I feel like actually this whole route you spend a lot more time on the country lanes than you do actually off-road. The off-road are just sort of like this, a little bit muddy, a little bit slidey in places, but fun, but quite short because you just end up coming like I am now to a road. But I've probably got like 20 miles to do left today, so I'm just cruising, just trying to enjoy this sun. I think it's going to be a bit cloudy tomorrow, so try and get my suntan, my winter suntan going, and I'm going to start heading round towards the King's Forest soon. Ooh. This route does very much remind me of the Rebellion Way. It's like the UK one in Norfolk, which I guess shouldn't be surprising because Norfolk is literally just the next county, I think, just sort of north of where I am. Yeah, I'll probably do 5 more miles, stop, have a bite to eat, and then it'll be on towards that sunset again. But we should have another good one today because it has been an absolutely stunning day, and it is starting to warm up a bit now, which is nice. Oh, I don't seem to be quite in the wind at least. All right, let's keep going.
After stopping to resupply for what would be the final time on this little adventure around Suffolk, most of the evening I would find myself heading off-road, crossing the final muddy fields. I was really hoping to be able to make it to camp for the first time on this trip before the sun would actually set. So I was very much trying to just not stop and keep pushing on. It was looking like it was going to be a tight one though, because that sun was dropping in the sky fast.
I think I'm cutting it a bit fine if I'm going to get to the King's Forest before sunset. It's 3 p.m, 40 minutes till sunset, probably about 10 miles to go. Might be just getting dark while I get there. To be fair, that's quite good timing. I've got about 35 miles in total left to do as well, so try and get that. Try and do another 10 if possible. But I do want to try and get set up before it gets dark. But the sun is looking like we're going to have a really good sunset. It's time to race the sun. Well, as you can see, the sun has set now, so it is getting a bit dark, but this is the forest I want to camp in over here, so I think I should be good. I'm going to go a little bit further up this trail because behind me there's a field on the other side and the tractor's ploughing it or whatever, and there's smoke everywhere. It stinks. I'm trying to get out of that. But I've had a really good day. I think I've done like just under 60 miles and about 23 or something left to do. Let's go find my camp spot, which I'm pretty sure isn't going to be too hard to find tonight because, well, I've got a big forest there to choose from. Right, as always, I'll see you bright and early in the morning for the last little meander around Suffolk and the Wolf Way. Nice day, beautiful day. See you in the morning. Good morning. This was my camp spot last night. You can see where I was laying just there. So that's leave no trace. Now you can't ever tell I was here. So this was a really nice camp spot last night. It was really quiet. It was quite windy. I could hear the wind, but it was not hitting my tent at all. And I've obviously woken up with a nice dry tent. That's always why I try and find camp spots in the woods, especially this time of year, even more so, because when it gets cold, your tent just gets wet from all the morning dew and stuff. It's just, if you can find a woodlands, it's just so much nicer. Now yesterday I did 60 miles, pretty much spot on. It was like 60 miles 0.1 or something. I'm sure if you put that on Strava, they'll take that 0.1 away anyway. And so it means I've only got around just over 20 to go, and I don't think it's too hard. I mean, this whole trip's been a nice trip, but it's not been overly demanding. Nothing's really like caused any drama or anything. Just given the bike a bit of a scrape down to get some of the mud off of it. I always wonder how much extra weight your bike picks up in mud. You know, cyclists are such weight weenies typically that I wonder how much it actually matters, because once you go onto a trail for about 2 minutes, you collect all that mud and stuff that your bike's heavier again anyway. But yeah, 20 miles to go and it should be fairly straightforward. I'm in the King's Forest right now. Just got to follow it all the way around it. And then it's pretty much a little bit around and then back to Bury St Edmunds. So as long as I can get there before 1 p.m, it's 8 a.m. now, I should be good because that's when my train is.
But yeah, absolutely beautiful night. I think this was the best camp spot of the trip so far. Slept the best. It wasn't the coldest night, it wasn't the warmest, but it was just perfect. I can really smell where they were ploughing them fields or whatever they were doing. I can smell all like the horse shit. Right, final little push to Bury St Edmunds, and it's been a nice little winter trip.
Leaving camp this morning, I was feeling great. I had been refreshed by a solid night's sleep in the King's Forest, surrounded by quiet and stillness. Now it was time to make my way back to Bury St Edmunds. First things first though, I would be riding all the way around the perimeter of the forest and then onto the Icknield Way. At this time of year, it's mostly about trying to keep your feet dry weaving around the massive puddles that form along these trails. But with only a few miles left of this little winter adventure through Suffolk, the day didn't feel particularly wintry. The wind had dropped, the air was mild, and I could comfortably even take my jacket off for the final miles. Arriving back in time for the train journey home. Happy holidays. Hope you have enjoyed the adventures this year, and hopefully I will see you in the new year. Peace.